Greetings, my friends, and welcome to How to Add Findings to Easy Cuff Bracelets. I hadn't shown you much about that, and so I had this scrap I was working with, and I thought I would show you how to make bracelets with findings, just using the 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch, and 1 inch size. It comes in my kits with the metal forms and the templates, of course. A lot of you already have that, but some of you don't have the kit. So I've got this scrap, it's got little bits and pieces of things. This is some marble that just, left over. And it came from this cane. And so there's just enough of it to play around with, pretty easily make 3 bracelets. So I'm going to put that good side down. It's got a layer of black in the center at about a number 2 or second thickest setting. And I laid some pieces of cane on there. And we just roll over it and kind of seal it together. And we'll put it onto the cuff blank. Having 3 layers is really pretty handy because it always gives you a place to put your findings. You can see that center layer pretty clearly, and that way you know it's not going to be poking up through the top or through the bottom of the bracelet. So we trim like we always do with our template, and we know that our template size is going to match our metal cuff size. Cut that strip and just take off the excess. And then we'll lay it out on the cuff blank. Now you see your top layer is a little bit not as wide as the bottom. That's just because it's raised up. So don't worry about that. You've got your layers. Get it nice and straight onto the form. You'll see it's going to work out fine. Now sometimes I make them like this, and they're just flat like this. They're just a band. And it's kind of neat because you can see, the green at the bottom, the black in the center, and the cane work at top. And it just kind of makes it, gives it interest on the sides. But I'll show you a little bit later an alternate way to do that. So it's a plain strip so far, just on there flat, without any really kind of contouring or anything. And I'm going to trim the ends off. And usually, since these forms have rounded edges, I'm going to tuck that down a little bit. Just make sure that it's a nice, neat edge. You don't want to squeeze hard on those middle parts because you want them to retain their thickness to be sturdy with the findings. So I just cut those off evenly and then just kind of pat them down, make sure they're rounded. Your cuffs might have square ends. They come different ways, okay? So I kind of prefer the square ends for ease, but I like the rounded ones for looks. Either way. So you just take your tool. This blade is just awesome. I love working with a nice flat blade in that indentation I'm trying to make. But you can't always get that one kind of blade, so if you can't, just use your other knife or whatever you have. And you see you need to make a slit the width of the ring. And tuck the ring in and make sure that you have the opening in the jump ring buried inside the clay, so that will never come open. Of course, it'll be nice and solid. It'll look nice and be strong. And we'll poke that into the other little channel that we made. And then I just pinch them a little bit. I'm wanting to make sure that the clay is touching clay right behind those rings, okay? And that's pretty much it. Any findings you put in can be put in kind of that way. You can use bails, like glue-on bails. You can use a lot of things. Now this one's kind of neat. This is pieces of several canes that I just cut up and kind of rearranged on some sheets. And this one also has got 3 layers. The bottom one is some over-reduced cane that I cut up into strips, and that top one is some excess cane with a green solid middle. Now this one I wanted to show you, you can make any of these domed. A lot of people like that rounded shape on top with the sides a little bit smaller and the middle a little bit higher. And that's the way you do it. It's super easy. You're just really just pinching the edge down. And you do it evenly as you can. You can easily feel it and see it. It's not hard. And then you just trim it off, and so now it's got more of a domed look. Just make sure you leave your ends blunt the way they were when you cut them, okay? Because you're going to want that center area to be nice and strong so that you can put your findings in. These are eye screws, and I actually do screw them in. I guess you could just shove them in, but I do retain a few little grab areas of clay by screwing it in like that. because when we're finished, we're going to unscrew it and put it back in with a dab of super glue. So I actually go ahead and make a few threads by screwing it in. This one is the smallest one, and that was that itty bitty cane. It was really only, you know, a little bit less than an inch tall, and I still have some left. I just cut enough pieces to put on a black strip. I've got my bottom green strip, and this one I left plain on the inside because I have a 0 setting on my clay machine, and so the band was thick enough. But you'll see how strong these are. Honestly, they don't have to be super thick, and being able to put findings on them, you know, lets you make them thinner because, you know, they don't have to be, you know, tight to the wrist. Now these kind of findings are super easy to make. You can see what I'm doing. I'm making a U shape in that. Those are just head pins. I'm cutting the heads off. If you have eye pins, you can cut their eyes off. But everybody's got these, see, and you don't even have to have special rings or special eye screws or special bails or anything, because, you know, everybody's got some kind of head pins or wire. You could use any kind of wire. I'm going to pinch a hook into the edge of that, and I'll show you at the end a little bit more, but that hook is the security that you're going to have. It's not going to come out. If you just put it in there straight, it could come right back out straight. So you make this little hook, and when that hook is buried in the clay, it's super secure. I've never had one come undone. And the, you know, the delicate nature of that kind of wire is nice for a small bracelet like that. And it's really quite sturdy. You pinch it shut like this, and then you'll see your end shape is conducive to slipping in that end very easily. And I just poke it in without any preamble. I don't make a space for it or anything. I want to pop it in tight and have it stay there, and it really, really does. So you got one at each end now, and we can put any number of different kind of closures on there, and I'm going to show you all that in a second. Now you asked me what to do with one that is already baked. You know, the torture, you know, you have it, it's already baked, and you're like, I wish it had some hardware on it. And sometimes you do wish that. So I just took a Dremel, put a couple holes in it, and put rings in it. It was really easy. I don't know if you don't have a Dremel, you could use just a hand drill. You know, you can even heat up a needle and poke it through clay like this that's cured, and it makes a pretty good little hole there. Just be careful, make sure you don't, you know, burn it up. So then you put your ring in that hole, and now you have something to join your chain or your lobster claws or your rings to. And it's quite comfortable. You see how flexible this stuff is, and it's still strong. Now these two I wanted to show you because people ask me if you can leave the forms in, the metal forms. Yeah, you know, you can if you want to. Obviously you won't have them anymore, but the thing is, on a bracelet like this, these are art pieces I did for a class, and I knew I was going to be building them up and putting all kinds of stuff in them, you know, and screwing things down into them. So I covered the whole form in clay and baked the clay inside of it. So if you're going to do a special bracelet like that, it's probably well worth it. Then that's what I decided to do. Those are an art jewelry adventure. Okay, so these are, now they're all cooked up, and that's how you take the forms off, by the way. You just kind of, you know, break the suction and just snap them off. Just pop it out there on the edge or in the middle, it doesn't matter. You'll hear a little snap, and you push out your forms. And you know, you can take your X-Acto, kind of like if you feel any little rough spots or anything, you could just shave it down. These are okay. These came out okay. Now with these, I'm going to take them back out now. I'm going to put some glue on them, and I'm going to screw them back in. Not like right now, but sometime I'm going to do that, because obviously screws can get loose and come out. So I'll show you what we're going to do with these, and I think you'll see how easy it is. You just have regular jewelry tools. A couple pair of pliers is fine. And you open up a jump ring, which I put on a lobster claw. I put a little one, then I put the next size. It doesn't matter. Use what you have. And I'm going to take that second ring and attach it to that head pin wire that we made that last time. Now I can put lobster claws on both sides if I'm trying to make it a little bit bigger. I could use chain, which I'll show you, but that size fits me. That's how I usually do mine, with just, one lobster claw and a couple small rings. This one's got chain in it. I put that on those rings. It turned out really nice. And this one's got chain with some bigger rings. Those are the heaviest gauge rings I have, and I use those for, for a heavier bracelet. There's the eye screws, and they're secure now. And you can do that same technique to any of these things. And I was looking at this. Isn't this neat? This is some kind of weird blank material I got from Hobby Lobby. I think they're called blank something. I can't remember. But wouldn't they be pretty at the end of a bracelet? And you could make a closure with them. So I'm going to try that for you. I'm going to try some other stuff too. See how that one's spinning around? See? Remember, you can always make your metal cuff smaller before you bake it. That's what I should have done. Because if you do that, then they'll stay on without any findings. So there you have it. I hope you enjoyed this. I have a lot more bracelet stuff coming your way. We're going to do charm cuffs and all kinds of stuff. And I'll see you then, okay? Bye-bye.